Sochitam Harasi Dehi Nityam Abjo Ayam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata Yasmat Sarvani Bhutani Natam Sochitam Arhasi Dehi Nityam Avadyo Ayam Dehe Sarvasya Bharata Tasmat Sarvani Bhutani Natvam Sochitam Arasi. Someone else? Word for word. Dehi, the owner of the material body. Nityam, eternally. Avadya, cannot be killed. Ayam, this soul. Dehe, in the body. Sarvasya, of everyone. Bharata, O descendant of Bharat. Tasmad, therefore. Sarvani, all. Bhutani, living entities that are born. Na, never. Tvam, you. Sochitam, to lament. Harasi, deserve. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore you need not grieve for any living being. Purport. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna established that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher, Bhishma and Drona, will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as a soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war it is discouraged. But at the time of war it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of sanction of the Lord, not capriciously. Capriciously means not whimsically. Their channel Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Om Argyanataram Dasya Jananjana Sakaya Sakshu Mitam Jaina Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Namarovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Danti Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Laita Shri Vishakam Vam Cha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kantam Nostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Hare Vrindavan Ishwari Vishabandhu Sute Devi Priyamina Hari Priye Panchagopa Tirubhyascha Harinam Bhavneyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation: O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living entity. So we've been reading last several verses, Krishna speaking about the nature of the soul. In Bori John's book, Surrender Unto Me, he gives a very nice summary of this verse and section of the Bhagavad Gita. As the best communicator, Krishna has concluded this part of his instructions with a half-verse summary of the soul's in eternality. Thus Krishna has destroyed Arjuna's illusion with knowledge. Proper knowledge leads to proper action. The following section directly attacks Arjuna's desire based on ignorance to neglect his duty out of sense of compassion for his family members. In this next group of verses 31 to 38, Krishna continues his attempt to convince Arjuna to fight. The motives he stresses here, however, are not based on knowledge, but on fruitive activity and religious duty. In this way, Krishna attacks another of Arjuna's reasons, that is, that he will not be able to enjoy himself after he engages in the battle. Therefore, in text 31 to 33, Krishna presents Arjuna with the argument that dutiful fighting and not fleeing the battlefield will lead to enjoyment. Therefore, Krishna presents Arjuna with the argument that dutiful fighting, not fleeing the battlefield, will lead to enjoyment. So this purport concludes that there's a soul is in the body. Brahma Bhuta Pashanama Nasoshiti Nakanchati Samasareshu Bhuteshu Mahabhaktim Lapate Param. So one comes to the level of Brahman realization. He neither laments nor hankers, nor desires everything. So he's joyful. So Srila Prabhupada preached very strongly that we're not the body, we're spirit soul. But the whole material world is going on under the misunderstanding, misdirected civilization that I am this body, and everyone's identifying with the body, and this false names and false forms. Everyone's saying I'm this body, and I belong to this family, and I belong to this country, and so many false conceptions. But the soul Denosmin yatade komaramya vinamjara tata dhambraptaptir nirjiraschatra namuyate. The soul is changing, is passing from boyhood to youth to old age, and then to another body. The self-realized soul is not disturbed by such a change. So the growth, we think we're growing, but we're not the identity remains the same. If you have a picture of yourself when you were a baby, and a picture of yourself when you're now, you're completely different, but your mother still thinks you're the same person. She won't say you're a different person. So you're not a different person, but you have a different body, and the body's changing. Even the scientists will admit that all the cells in the body change every 7 years. So what they call growth is changing from one body to the next, but it's subtle, and it's like a motion picture or movie. The movie is just a collection of different pictures, and when they make it move fast, it looks like it's moving. They put it on the screen, you think you see something moving, but it's just pictures. But it's because you can't see, because they made it that through the technology they found out how to make a movie by joining so many pictures together. So the soul is moving, is transmigrating from one body to the next, and then at the time of death, it says in the 15th chapter, one has accepted a material body, then he accepts another body, and just from one body to the next. It's like the movement of the air, or like the movement of the air. So one accepts one body, next body, next body. It's like but it's very subtle, so you can't see it. So at the time of death, the soul is transferred to another, according to his karma, it will get another body. And that body has an eye, ear, nose, tongue, sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind, that he enjoys in various ways. So Prabhupada says here, you can't there's some people, the scientists, people say there's no soul, and that the living entity, symptom of life, is a result of the maturity, when maturity results from the interaction of chemicals. So we challenge the scientists who say this, that we'll give you all the chemicals, you make life. They say, well, we can't do it now, but maybe in the future. And when the person dies and their dead body is there, they can't put, if it's just the maturity of chemicals, then if someone dies, then they can just add some chemicals and bring that dead body back to life. But they can't do that either. So this is a misconception, and why people lament over chemicals. If you take the human body and turn it into ashes or whatever, they say the human body will amount to $2.50, which is a few hundred rupees. So why lament over that? Why are people crying at funerals if they say my father is gone, my father's dead, but his body's right there, but your father, you never really knew your father, because he's not that body, he's a spirit soul. So we can't accept this. And the science of self-realization, or the changing bodies, or the different books we have in English and all over the world, are Prabhupada's conversations with the people, convincing. It's very convincing. People can read these books, Science of Self-Realization, get a proper understanding about these subject matter, the difference between the body and the soul. So Arjuna should not give up his duty of fighting because it's on religious principles, because Krishna's ordered him to fight. So Arjuna doesn't want to fight, but it's the wrong time. When all the armies are assembled, then Arjuna asked Krishna to place his chariot in the middle of the battlefield so he could see who was on the opposite side. And then Arjuna is saying, I don't want to fight. But it's too late to say that, because the battle is going to go on whether Arjuna fights or not, because it was already destined to take place. And those who are on the battlefield are destined to die, or live or die. Rakhe Krishna Marike, Mari Krishna Rakike. Krishna wants you to live, no one can kill you. If Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. So Dhruva Maharaj was ruling the earth for 36,000 years. And one time his brother went out hunting and was killed by a yaksha, or a demon. And then Dhruva Maharaj became angry and went on a rampage and started killing all these different yakshas. Then Brahma came and said, why are you killing so many people for one person? Only one person was involved with killing your brother. So you should stop this killing. Then Swayambhu Manu came and said to Dhruva that actually you killed all these people, but it was their karma that they had to be killed at that time. So, whether a person lives or dies is determined by his karma, from his past karma. So as soon as one takes birth, he's sure to die, and when one dies, he's sure to take birth again. So so Arjuna had no reason not to fight, but he's playing the role of he's playing this role by the influence of Yogamaya to speak, so Krishna can speak the Bhagavad Gita for all the conditioned souls in the material world. Because today's society is the Kali Yuga. This is Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Before the age of Kali Yuga, there wasn't any need for books. People were Shrutidhar. They could hear one time and remember everything. And when Sukadeva Goswami or Maharaj Parikshit, he was the last king, when he saw Kali personified beating a bull who was standing on one leg, he chastised him. Kali surrendered to him, and he told Kali that you can live wherever there's meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit sex. But Kali said there's no such place. But then he said, okay, you can live where there's hoarding of gold. So this is how Kali Yuga began. When people started hoarding gold, then people become lusty, greedy, and angry, and everything becomes topsy-turvy, everything becomes chaotic in society. So after Dwapara Yuga, after Maharaj Parikshit, Kali Yuga, Kali came in and the degradation began. So 5,000 years have begun of Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga will last for 432,000 years. So already we can see how degraded the world has become, even in the last 20, 30 years. More and more abominable activities are taking place, and people are accepting them as normal. Like in the 60s and 70s, there was no homosexuality, or if it was a very secret thing, it wasn't open, wasn't socially acceptable. Now it's socially acceptable. There's no such thing as marriage between one man and another man. this was not socially acceptable. But this now has become socially acceptable. And so many other things are pornography and so many other degrading things are readily available on the internet, which weren't available in the 70s, 60s, 70s. So the country, everyone's becoming more and more degraded. The population is becoming full of unwanted children, varna sanskara, because of people having illicit sex, and they don't want to have the children, or the children are born out of lust, or else they kill the children in the womb. Abortion was illegal. Now abortion has become legal in all over the world. So, but they don't understand that unless there's this soul in the body, unless there's something in the body, at the time of conception, the soul enters the womb of the mother, so that it gradually begins to grow. If there's no soul there, if there's no, then nothing. It can't grow. Growth is a symptom of the soul or consciousness. So the soul grows. It takes birth. It grows. It stays for some time, reproduces, then dwindles and dies. This is a symptom of consciousness. So something is in the body that's growing, then you must understand, must be a soul there, must be a person there. So to perform abortion is the same as murder or killing. You're killing that soul, but they don't think that there's a soul in the body. They don't think they're killing, so they legalized abortion. But whoever performs abortion will never see the light of day for as many abortions as he performs. So there's one man in Mumbai who performed 30,000 abortions. Now he's become a devotee. So he's preaching anti-abortion. But he was destined to 30,000 births in the womb without ever coming out to see the light of day. But if he's chanting Hare Krishna and following the principles, he can counteract his sinful activities. So this is the understanding that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul, but just to understand I'm not a spirit soul is not enough. Jnanis and yogis, they may come to this realization, Aham Brahmasmi, but we have to come to realization that I'm a spirit soul and Sambandhan Gyan, that I have an eternal relationship with Krishna, Jivar Srupaya Nitya Krishna Das, and Sambandhan Abhideya Prajana, and that the way to understand Krishna is through devotional service, and complete perfection is to attain love for Krishna or Prema Bhakti. So in Vrindavan, if you're here for the first time in Vrindavan, you can visit Madan Mohan, represents Sambandhan Gyan, Govindaji represents Abhidit Parojana, and Gopinath represents Parojana. So these three deities are here in Vrindavan, and there's 7 main temples in Vrindavan, but those 3 temples should be visited first: Madan Mohan, Govindaji, and Gopinath. So, so this is the process of Krishna consciousness. Understand that I'm not this body, I'm an eternal spirit soul, and I have service, and my service is to serve Krishna. Now I can read the next verse. Consider your specific duty as a Kshatriya. You should know that there's no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there's no need for hesitation. Purport. Out of the 4 orders of social administration, this second order, for the matter of good administration, is called Kshatriya. Kat means hurt. One who gives protection from harm is called Kshatriya. Triyat means to give protection. The Kshatriyas are trained for killing in the forest. Kshatriya go into the forest and challenge the tiger face to face and fight with the tiger with his sword. When the tiger was killed, be offered the royal order of cremation. This system has been followed even up to the present day by the Kshatriya kings of Jaipur state. The Kshatriyas are especially trained for challenging and killing because religious violence is sometimes a necessary factor. Therefore, Kshatriyas are never meant for accepting directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. Nonviolence in politics may be a diplomacy, but it's never a factor or principle. In the religious book, is Mano Samhita. In the battlefield, a king or Kshatriya, while fighting another king, envious of him, is eligible for achieving the heavenly planets after death, as the Brahmanas also attain heavenly planets by sacrificing animals in the sacrificial fire. Therefore, killing on the battlefield on religious principles and killing animals in the sacrificial fire are not at all considered to be acts of violence, because everyone is benefited by the religious principles involved. The animal sacrifice gets a human life immediately without undergoing the gradual evolutionary process from one form to another, and the Kshatriya killed on the battlefield also attains heavenly planets, as do the Brahmanas who attain them by offering sacrifice. There are two kinds of swadharma, specific duties. As long as one is not liberated, one has to perform the duties of a particular body in accordance with religious principles in order to achieve liberation. When one is liberated, one's swadharma, specific duty, becomes spiritual and is not in the material bodily concept. The bodily conception of life, in the bodily conception of life, there are specific duties for the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas respectively. Such duties are unavoidable. Swadharma is ordained by the Lord, and this will be clarified in the 4th chapter. On the bodily plane, Swadharma is called Varnashram Dharma, or man's stepping stone for spiritual understanding. Human civilization begins from the stage of Varnashram Dharma, or specific duties in terms of specific modes of nature of the body obtained. Discharging one's specific duty in any field of action in accordance with the order of higher authority serves to elevate one to a higher status of life. So Arjuna is saying, is refusing to fight, but as a Kshatriya, it's his duty. There's 4 orders. There's the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. The Brahmins are supposed to give advice to the Kshatriyas and teach, and do not accept any salary except in emergency. They may accept some kind of occupation. So one time when Lord Ramachandra was on the planet, one sage came to his father and requested that he take Lord Ramachandra to the forest because some demons were disturbing the sacrifice, disturbing the Brahmanas. So our sages, though these sages, they had the power, they could kill the Rakshasas themselves, but that wasn't their position. As Brahmins are supposed to be non-violent. So they requested that Dasarath let his son, Lord Ram, go to the forest and kill the disturbing elements. So the Brahmins give protection. The Brahmins, this is described in the 18th chapter, the duties of the different ashrams. The peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, religiousness, these are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. Farming, cow protection, business are natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras, there are labor and service to the others. So here, Arjuna is a Kshatriya, so he's heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of work for the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas are supposed to give protection to the citizens, and this means they have to go to the battlefield. But in this day and age, there's no divisions like this. And people are sent to the war to engage in battle who are not inclined to that, to be soldiers. So those who have that propensity, fighting propensity, become Kshatriyas. And in the past it says, Evam Parampara Paptam Imam Rajaso Vidu, that this message of Bhagavad Gita was spoke to the saintly kings in due course of time, but the message was lost. So Krishna felt he had to speak it again, because the kings were saintly, and the kings didn't just take taxes from the citizens and not give them anything, or were supposed to see to the welfare of the citizens. Like Lord Ramachandra appeared in Treta Yuga, but because he was such a good king, it appeared like Satya Yuga. And people didn't feel any disturbances, and even if they didn't want to die, they didn't have to die. So we read about the different kings in Srimad Bhagavatam. Prithu Maharaj and Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj, they were all exemplary kings. And the kings in Kali Yuga became tyrants and became a disturbance to civilization. Instead of looking after the people, they just created fear in the people. So that was demolished. And then the dictatorship was established, and that also was not good for the people, because there was evil-minded dictators who were very self-centered. And now most of the countries have democracy. It's probably called demon crazy, because the democracy, the leaders also, they make many promises to the citizens, but they're not really able to make people peaceful and give people, help people to live a simple life, peaceful life. They're just collecting taxes and living comfortably. But the king, the Kshatriyas in former ages, not only did they give good administration, but they were the first ones. The king was the first one to go out on the battlefield and face the enemy. Nowadays, the politicians, they send all the other men out to the battlefield to be killed, and while they sit comfortably in their houses or homes. And so there's a difference. So if the saintly king, they were saw to the welfare of all the people, and they were supposed to give protection not only to the human beings, to all the living entities in their kingdom, Praja, that's including the cow. Nowadays, cow killing is going on all over the world, and India is the #1 country for killing animals, slaughtering cows, even though this is supposed to be the land of Dharma, and the cow is a sacred animal. They don't know that, and they had factories, slaughterhouses, which were simply like factories where they're killing so many innocent animals. And because of this, then there can never be any peace in the world. As long as one is killing of innocent animals, then there has to be war, because that's a direct reaction to the killing of animals, killing of people. So the Kshatriyas, like Maharaj Parikshit, he chastised Kali and ruled the world according to religious principles. But now no one knows what religious principles are. So this system, Prabhupada says even in the present day, kings in Jaipur, they'd kill a tiger, but they offered a royal cremation. I don't know if that's true now. This Prabhupada wrote his purport 50 years ago. I don't know if that's still happening, but at least there were still some Kshatriyas left. But it says Kshatriyas never accepted directly the order of sannyas or renunciation. So Arjuna didn't have any reason not to fight. And these next verses, Krishna is going to try to convince him more and more that his fighting on this battlefield there won't be any negative reaction. He won't have to suffer or go to hell. Here it says that the non-violent, to be violent is the duty of a Kshatriya, because he needs to be violent to curb his enemies, keep peace in the world. It also says animal sacrifice, they get a human form. So there's animal sacrifice, kings would perform animal sacrifices. But the Lord Chaitanya forbid this. He said that five things were forbidden in this age: killing animal, cow sacrifice, and horse sacrifice, accepting sannyas, begetting a child from one's brother, and what was the last one? And taking sannyas. Have you said that? Taking sannyas, animal sacrifice. Anyway, it's forbidden in this age, because the animal sacrifice has to be done by qualified brahmanas, and they would chant mantras, and when the animal was sacrificed, they had to chant every word of the mantra exactly correctly, and there was a checker who would check to make sure they chanted the mantra correctly, and then the animal would be rejuvenated. But if they didn't chant the mantras correctly, then the animal wouldn't be rejuvenated, and then they'd have to suffer a sinful reaction for killing an animal. So Maharaj Prachini Bharti, in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, inquired from Narada Muni about human life. And Narada Muni showed him all the animals that he sacrificed. Because he didn't do it right, all the animals appeared in the sky, and they were going to have to come back and kill him for all the sacrifices he didn't do properly. So that's why this animal sacrifice or any kind of sacrifices is forbidden in this age. And also taking a sannyas is forbidden in this age. That kind of sannyas where people put on saffron and just are interested in filling their bellies, just looking for how to get chapatis, don't really do anything positive. But Srila Prabhupada gave sannyas to many people for preaching Krishna consciousness. Sannyas means one has dedicated his body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. And sannyasis are supposed to travel all over the world and preach Krishna consciousness live an ideal life, and not simply sitting in one place and begging for some food, or being a false sannyasi. So when Maharaj Prithu was performing he performed 99 horse sacrifices correctly. Then he was trying to perform his 100th sacrifice, but Indra becomes worried. Indra's always getting himself in trouble. So Indra became worried that he was going to perform 100 horse sacrifices because become so powerful that he'd take over his position. So Indra came and stole the horse and ran away. Then they sent the son of Prithu to kill that person who stole the horse and bring the horse back. So Indra changed his dress and disguised himself like a sannyasi. And then when the son saw him, he wouldn't kill him, and he brought the horse back. So Indra did that twice. So Indra was the first cheating sannyasi. So this kind of cheating sannyasi, just to put on saffron, does not make one a qualified sannyasi. But sannyasis for internal development, for developing gopi bhav, or our Krishna consciousness, prema, or love for Krishna, not just to fill our belly. So the sannyasis, the bidi babajis, they're smoking bidis, and they're just don't have any real engagement, but they're wearing saffron, and people are fooled by this, thinking they're saintly persons. So anyway, Arjuna was expected to fight on religious principles, and he wasn't going to suffer reaction because Krishna wanted him to fight. And it's Kshatriyas fight, and because it's their duty as to give protection to the people, to maintain law and order. And Kshatriyas would go to the forest and practice their martial arts, kill animals, and bring those animals back for sacrifice, and they would also keep the peace in the forest. So, this is called Swadharma. And Srila Prabhupada said that only 50%, he felt that only 50% of his mission was successful because he wasn't able to introduce his Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is, it says it's Shravanam hi Kevalam. If one practices his Dharma but doesn't develop his love for Krishna, it says it's simply useless waste of time. So Daivi Varnashram, one can engage in his occupational duty, but at the same time he must cultivate spiritual life, Krishna consciousness. And that's real Varnashram Dharma. But in this present age it's not possible to make such a drastic change in society that people don't accept this Krishna conscious movement, and to change people, make such a drastic change is very almost impossible. But we have some farm communities where people are trying to practice this Varnashram Dharma or introduce Varnashram Dharma. But so whatever one may be, the Gopi Bharata Kamala Das Das or Das, Lord Chaitanya said that I'm not any of these things. I'm simply the servant of the gopis. That's our real identity. And when Lord Chaitanya was in Navadvip, the Qazi came and stopped the kirtan. The local Brahmins complained to the Qazi that these people are doing kirtan, creating disturbance. So the Qazi came, he broke the drum and made a declaration that no one should do kirtan in Navadvip. So the devotees were worried, so Lord Chaitanya organized the first civil disobedience movement, and he marched on the Qazi house with so many people that if you dropped a mustard seed, it wouldn't hit the ground. And there were thieves, they were seeing that people were leaving their houses open and going to join the kirtan. So the thieves were going to steal from all the houses, but the thieves got involved in the kirtan and forgot they were thieves. So then when Lord Chaitanya met the Qazi, he said to the Qazi, "Why are you killing your mother and father?" Muslim religion, they slaughter animals, they slaughter the cow. So the king, the Qazi replied that in your Hindu religion you also kill animals in sacrifice. But Lord Chaitanya refuted that, said no, as it's explained here, that the animal is rejuvenated, is not actually killing. And then, then Lord Chaitanya convinced the Qazi that the kirtan should not be stopped, and he made a vow at that time that from that day on, no one in his family would ever impede the kirtan, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. And his samadhi is there in Mayapur, Chang Qazi. That was Kamsa, was Chang in Krishna Lila, became Chang Qazi. So this is the going back to the point about animal slaughter and how Kshatriyas and Brahmanas do their duty correctly. So all these things have to be taken into account. So I can read the next verse. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of heavenly planets. Purport. As Supreme Teacher of the world, Lord Krishna condemned the attitude of Arjuna, who said, "I do not find any good in fighting. It will cause perpetual habitation in hell." Such statements by Arjuna are due to ignorance only. He wanted to become non-violent in the discharge of his specific duty. For Kshatriya to be on the battlefield and become non-violent is the philosophy of fools. In the Parasara Samhita, a religious code made by Parasara, the great sage and father of Vyasadeva, it is stated, the Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus with religious principles he should rule over the world. Considering all aspects, Arjuna had no reason to refrain from fighting. If he should conquer his enemies, he would enjoy the kingdom, and if he should die in the battle, he would be elevated to heavenly planets, whose doors were wide open to him. Fighting would be for his benefit in either case. So Maharaj Yudhishthira wanted to perform the Rajasuya sacrifice, so he sent his brothers out to conquer all the kings, not to kill them, but just to collect taxes for them and to agree to his sovereignty or rule over the world. Only one person, Jarasandha, was not agreeable to this agreeable. So Krishna was in Dwarka and he took consultation from Uddhava. Uddhava was Krishna's friend and advisor. So Uddhava advised Krishna to go to Indraprastha, or where they were going to have the Rajasuya sacrifice, and then he told them that Krishna, Bhima, and Arjuna should dress like Kshatriyas, like Brahmanas, and go to Jarasandha, because Jarasandha was charitably disposed to the Brahmanas. This is the only way they could defeat Jarasandha, was by having a combat duel single-handedly. So they dressed up as Brahmanas and went to Jarasandha. And Jarasandha, although he was a demon, when Kamsa was killed by Krishna, Kamsa's wives went back to their father Jarasandha and told him what had happened. And then Jarasandha, being a demon, not considering that Kamsa was so evil and cruel, they killed all the children of his sister, that he wanted to kill Krishna. So he attacked Mathura for 17 times. And every time he was defeated and sent away. And his advisor, and he would want to go to the forest and give up being a king, but his advisors would just tell him it was bad luck. He just had ill luck. No problem. Can do it again. So he tried 17 times to kill Krishna in the battle in Mathura. So the only way they could defeat Jarasandha was by single combat. So Krishna, Arjuna, and Bhima, dressed like brahmanas, he went to Jarasandha. Jarasandha was charitably disposed, so he said, you people, you look strange. Maybe I've seen you somewhere before. They didn't look like brahmanas because they had deep voices and big bodies and strongly built. Anyway, but since you come as brahmanas, I'll give you whatever you want in charity. Even if you want my head, I'll give you that. They said, no, we just come to request a duel with you. And then Jarasandha laughed very loudly and called them all fools. And he said, well, I can't fight with Arjuna because he's not equal strength to me. And I can't fight with Krishna because he's a coward. When I went to fight with him the last time, he walked off the battlefield. But Bhima, he's equal to me. So they had an arrangement, they had a special place where outside the city where the Kshatriyas would have a fight. So they had this duel between Bhima and Jarasandha. But since Jarasandha was more expert at fighting with the club, but Bhima was stronger. So neither one of them could become victorious. So Krishna knew the history of Jarasandha. Jarasandha was born from two mothers in two halves, and the king saw that. He threw them two halves in the forest, and one witch by the name of Jara, she knew the black art of joining the two halves and making a human being. So Jarasandha was born from two halves. So Krishna, on the 28th day after the fighting had been going on, Krishna picked up a twig from a branch from a tree, and he pulled it apart to indicate how, and also he empowered it. He empowered Bhima to kill Jarasandha. So Bhima knocked Jarasandha down on the ground, and he stepped on one leg, and he pulled the other leg, and he pulled them apart, and that was the end of Jarasandha. Two halves. He had two halves, and so then Maharaj Yudhishthira was able to form the Rajasuya sacrifice. So time is up. These 3 verses, you can read them again. Senda Bharta, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore you need not grieve for any living entity. Consider your specific duties as a Kshatriya. You should know there's no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, so there's no need for hesitation. O Bharta, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening them the doors to the heavenly planets. So Arjuna, either he'd win the kingdom and flourish, or he'd go to heaven and enjoy. Either way, he wasn't going to be subject to any kind of sinful reaction for doing his duty as a king or as a Kshatriya. So Krishna is going to dispel his doubts in the next 3 or 4 verses, and the rest of the Bhagavad Gita is meant for Sarvadharma Prikshija, Mamekam Saranam Jaha, Hamtam Sarvapavaino, Mokshashami Mahasuchaha. Krishna says, it's surrender unto me, give up all varieties of religiosity. I will protect you from all sinful actions. Sinful reactions, do not fear. So everything in the Bhagavad Gita is included in all other scriptures, plus more. So that's why we're distributing Bhagavad Gitas all over the world and in so many languages to get people to understand that in human form of life is meant for surrendering to Krishna, becoming Krishna's devotee, and going back home, back to Godhead, not remain in this material world and suffer repeated birth and death. Any questions, comments? We have a microphone. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. According to the Gita, we are all is there distinction between certain bodies or certain services if the souls are competent for such services?
Well, we're all spirit souls, but we have different bodies. We have to act according to our bodies. Body, woman's duty to serve her husband. A man can't give birth to a child. A woman can. So there's a distinction between men and women. And just like if a tiger comes to eat you, it's a spirit soul, but you don't embrace it. So we have to be practical on the practical level. We're not seeing everyone as spirit soul, and we're not. We have to be practical. So we have to make use of a bad bargain. We have a material body, and we're suffering this way or that. We have to maintain our body. If you're out of the bodily conception of life, then no shoshati, no kanchati, no more lamenting, no more hankering. You're always joyful. So that we have to come to the pure platform, pure goodness, and then we won't know. If you're a Uttama Adhikari, you don't make distinctions between different living entities. You see everyone as serving Krishna. But we're not on that platform. The Madhyama Adhikari, he makes distinctions. We make distinctions, so some people are favorable to Krishna consciousness and some people are not. So we don't preach to the people who are envious and unfavorable, because that's the offense to the holy name. So even though they're spirit souls, but you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So we can preach to people, but if people aren't interested, then we shouldn't preach to those kind of people. Even though they are spirit souls, we can have compassion for them. It's like when Lord Chaitanya's devotees, Vasudeva, he wanted to take all the sinful reactions of all the people in the universe. But Lord Chaitanya said that was not such a difficult job. That if one universe went back to Godhead, it would be like one mustard seed out of a bag of mustard seeds. So it wasn't necessary for him to take the karma of all the people. So we have to, as devotees, we also act in a practical way. So we have to see things in a practical way. So we have different bodies, different forms, and different activities are performed accordingly. Does that answer your question? All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita